Hey guys, welcome to Thursday of Holy Week. We have been walking through the last week of Jesus' life here on earth before he would go to the cross. Thursday is an interesting day. I was thinking about it as I was reading about it earlier, and if you were watching a movie and about 3/4 of the way through the movie, you hear the music change and you hear the mood of the movie change. It's just like this climactic moment is about to happen. And that's what's happening on Thursday. Jesus is preparing his disciples for the Passover meal. He's made all the preparations for the meal, and he's ready to sit down and have this dinner with his disciples. Many interesting things are going on in the room that evening. One of the things that's interesting, that's recorded in John chapter 13, is Jesus takes some time at this meal to wash the disciples' feet. He starts to explain to them through his actions what it really looks like to serve and to love unconditionally. And so he washes their feet, which is a very humbling thing to do, and it was something that a rabbi or a religious leader would not have done. And he also, during this Passover meal, this last one that he would share with his disciples, introduces the idea of communion, the Eucharist, this breaking of bread, this cup that would represent his body and his blood that was shed. That is introduced on Thursday night of Holy Week. And then also during this meal, Jesus announces to the group gathered there in this upper room in Jerusalem that there would be someone in the group that would betray him. And you could imagine once he says that, just the shock and the amazement that someone, one of his closest friends, was about to betray him. In fact, had already turned him over to the Roman officials. And so Jesus explains that there's someone that has done that. He also says to men in the room that some of them would deny him, that would deny even knowing who he was. And we know that's Peter, that Peter would have, that evening, would have the opportunity to say, yes, I follow Jesus. I'm one of his friends. And he denies that on 3 different occasions. But in the middle of all of that, Jesus continues on with this meal. And it's interesting to me, what I think about when I think about Jesus' mind on a Thursday night. He knows what's to come. He knows what Friday's going to bring. He knows what the weekend's going to be like. He knows, for the most part, what this is going to be like. He knows that there's going to be a lot of chaos in the days to come. But he has this meal, and he enjoys it to the extent that he can with his friends one last time. And he shares with them the idea that he is going to be gone, he's going away, but that they should remember him. And every time they gather with this meal, that they should remember what Jesus has said, what he's done, what he's taught them, how he's shown them how to live. And I think that's interesting, that one of the most intimate things we can do with our friends is share a meal with them. You have probably had experiences where you've invited friends over and shared a meal, and it's in those conversations that maybe some real life things take place. And that's what Jesus was doing on this Thursday night. I also think about how his heart must have been broken because he knew Judas would betray him. He knew Peter would deny him, and yet they were close friends. And in the middle of all of that, Jesus continues to love them. And I wonder in our lives if there are people, if there are friends that we know have hurt us. But in the middle of that hurt and in the middle of that pain, maybe, we're still called to love them. We're still called to forgive them. We're still called to serve them like Jesus did when he washed their feet. He knew what these people were. He knew what they'd already done and what they would do, but he chose love. He chose unconditional love in the middle of that. We know that Friday was coming, that Saturday would be an incredible day as well, but Jesus is laying the foundation for what his love really looks like on Thursday night in that upper room in Jerusalem.